one of the main bottlenecks trying to learn to play fingerstyle is getting this part working, right? If you get the thumb going, then you've got to add in the fingers. And a lot of times, once you add in the fingers, that's when the thumb is like, I don't really feel like playing on the beat. And as the melodies get more syncopated and you start adding in things like hammer-ons and pull-offs and double stops, things get even trickier. And if you don't have a solid foundation, it's never going to get easier. So in this lesson, I want to show you a little 3-step process to just starting to get the thumb and the fingers to behave and do what you want them to do when you want them to do that. These ideas are essential for playing alternating thumb tunes like the one I was just playing, Mississippi John Hurt's Nobody's Dirty Business. That's a song that I'm teaching all this month in my membership, the Fingerstyle 5. So if you'd like to learn how to play that tune along with a lot of other traditional and contemporary blues tunes, I encourage you to check out the membership at the link below or the link on screen at fretboardconfidential.com. All right, so the 3 steps we're going to take. First, we're going to just focus on where the thumb needs to go with the alternating thumb. Then we're going to look at putting notes with the fingers on the downbeat so they match the thumb. And finally, we'll look at how to move them to the offbeats to create syncopation. So first things first, I'm just going to demonstrate these on a C chord. Sometimes when you're trying to learn something new, the best thing you can do is get rid of as many variables as possible. So before you even worry about changing chords, which is a whole other thing, let's just look at how to get this coordination together on one chord, and then you can start to extrapolate on your own. So with the C chord, we're alternating between the 5th string, the 4th string, the 6th string, and the 4th string. So on every beat, you're going to move your thumb to the next bass note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm doing some palm muting. I've got my palm resting right where the strings meet the bridge. And I've talked about this in a few other lessons. I'll put a link to at least one of them down below. But this is the rhythmic foundation of alternating thumb picking. You're playing on all the strong beats, just 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything else we're going to do in this lesson is just about adding to that without losing track of what that thumb is supposed to be doing. So the next step is playing with the fingers at the same time as the thumb. So for starters, let's just take the note C, first fret on the 2nd string, use your middle finger to pick that string, and you're just going to play a C note on top, this note right here with your finger, every time you're playing with the bass. So you'd have. Guitar players call that a pinch when you're playing with both the thumb and a finger at the same time. So we're basically pinching on every beat, playing with the middle finger and the thumb. So as the thumb is moving, bass note to bass note, you're just playing the same note over and over again here on the 2nd string. And again, just taking away as many variables as possible. We're not worrying about playing on more than one string. We're not worrying about using more than one finger. We're just going to focus on getting this coordination together first. The one other thing you might want to experiment with at this stage is not playing on every beat. So you could start trying to play just on one with the finger and then let the thumb continue. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could try to play on 1 and 3 with the finger, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And if that all makes sense, then you can start trying to play on, say, beats 1, 2, and 3, but only play the thumb on 4. 1, 2, 3. Or even leaving out the first beat with the finger and then playing on beats 2, 3, and 4 with the fingers. So you get the thumb, pinch, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get used to putting those quarter notes in different places. You can even just try moving the quarter note from beat 1 to beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. To beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And finally, just putting it on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So now the third step is to start putting notes with a finger on an offbeat. The offbeats are everything that fall in between the downbeats or the strong beats. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you can find the offbeats by counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so the offbeats are what make things sound syncopated. So if you were playing pinches on just beats 1 and 2, you could start to create syncopation by moving the note on beat 2 to the and of 1. So instead of playing 1, 2, 3, 4, you would play 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. So this is the first time we're playing a note that isn't a pinch, right? We're pinching on 1, and then immediately afterwards playing just with the finger on the and of 1. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the thing about this is not only are we playing a note by itself, but this is the first time we're playing with an eighth note feel, right? If we're just playing 1, 2, 3, 4, that's all quarter notes. But if we start to play on the ands, we're starting to play with an eighth note feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we have to decide, are we playing straight eighth notes, everything even, or are we playing swing eighth notes, where the first note of every pair is a little longer and the second note's a little shorter. And it depends on the tune you're playing, whether you want a swing eighth feel or a straight eighth feel. Now, it just depends what song you're playing, whether you want to play with a swing eighth feel or a straight eighth feel. And sometimes, if you're not sure, the best thing to do is just to play the song both ways and see which one sounds right. So, with Nobody's Dirty Business, here's what it sounds like with a swing eighth feel. And here's what it sounds like with straight eighths. Seems to me like we want a swing eighths feel, but it can be kind of tricky because as things get faster, there's less of a distinction between swing eighths and straight eighths. So on an up-tempo tune, sometimes you have to really think about it and kind of figure out which way it's supposed to go. So for this exercise that we've been doing, playing on the 1 and, let's use swing eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And to get really clear on that, you can play a pinch and an and on every beat. So on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Because when you do that, then you can compare it with playing straight eighths. And just like playing through the tune both ways, it should make it a lot clearer whether you want swing or straight eighth notes, or whether you're actually playing swing eighths or straight eighth notes. Now, playing on the downbeat and the and of every beat is kind of getting ahead of ourselves as far as doing the exercises, because you want to, again, just take things one small step at a time. So again, we're just playing 1 and. And the next idea would be to play on 1 and say 3 and. And then maybe play on 1 and 2 and 3 and, like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. just want to get the coordination together so you can start to use it to play certain kinds of syncopations. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson that the idea of syncopation is taking notes that are on the downbeat and moving them up by an eighth note. So moving it something from, say, beat 2 to the and of 1. So instead of playing 1, 2, we end up with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so you can basically play quarter notes on, say, beats 1, 2, and 3. And the way to syncopate that is to move up one or more of the notes to the previous and. So let's say we could move 1, 2, and instead of playing 1, 2, 3. So we'd have 1, 2, and. Or we could have 1 and 2 and, right? So. And this is the point where we start to depart from the exercises to see what it sounds like in real life. Because if you have a melody that's going, it sounds kind of boring. But if we start to syncopate it by playing, instead of 1, 2, 3, playing 1 and 2 and, we get this. That's what makes it start to sound a lot more interesting. But you got to have the coordination to make that happen. So just looking at the first couple measures of Nobody's Dirty Business, what's going on? If we played the melody completely straight, no syncopation, we'd be playing on all the downbeats. But now, by syncopating things, instead of playing 1, 2, 3, 4, we can play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're actually pushing the melody out by an eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But then we're answering that by playing right on the downbeat in the second measure. And that contrast is really effective. We can even keep going with that kind of syncopation in the next phrase. So we have. And then. It's the exact same phrasing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All in the downbeat. So that's a big part of what makes melodies to tunes like this work. And if what's tripping you up is that you can't keep your thumb going while you start reaching for the melody, then starting from the bottom up with the thumb and then playing on the downbeats and then playing on purpose on the offbeats as intentional syncopations should go a long way towards helping to solve the problem of what your thumb is doing and keeping it steady and solid while the fingers start to play more interesting melodies on top. Now, there are over 24 other traditional tunes that I teach inside my membership, the Fingerstyle 5, and for every single one of them, there are lessons that break down the tune this way in terms of learning the bass and getting the bass solid, looking at what the melody's doing and how it's phrased and how it's syncopated, and then learning how to put those two things together step by step so that the whole song is completely solid and you don't have to worry about what your thumb is doing because you've gotten it all coordinated and synchronized with your fingers along the way. If you'd like to learn tunes like Nobody's Dirty Business and a lot of other traditional blues tunes like it in this way, check out my membership, the Fingerstyle 5, at the link below or the link on screen. If you've got a question about today's lesson or about your picking coordination in general, please leave it down below. I would love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.